go.
All right.
We ready.
What's going on?
What's up, Facebook?
TikTok.
YouTube.
Instagram or IG.
Yeah, IG. And whatever platform that we will eventually share with in the future.
Yeah. Like we say we were not going to do TikTok and now we're on
Right,
TikTok.
you know. I know that some people in the share on TikTok say, we don't have TikTok. I'm like, what? So we don't know where God is going to bring us, you know.
Yep.
And so today we want to get on and discuss and talk about how we knew that God brought us together. God put us together. God meant for us to be together as husband and wife, right? And so what brought that about?
Well, when I bought this to you before, he didn't even remember. I don't even know who it was. I can't even remember who it was that said, y'all need to do a video on how y'all got together, you know. And so that was a while ago. I don't even remember who it was.
Right.
And I bought it to you. Like, I don't remember that conversation, but yeah.
So if it was you, give us a thumbs up. Yeah.
Put it in the comment. It was me.
Right. And so we want to look at a marriage, you know, that God intended to happen. And that was between Moses and Zipporah, right? And so Moses, he fled basically to Midian where Zipporah lived. And what happened was Moses wound up killing an Egyptian and fleeing. And that's what caused him to run to Midian. And so what happened was Moses helped Jethro and them daughters out at the well, right? And so Jethro was wondering what happened to the man, whatever, and he sent his daughters to go get the man. And so basically, once Moses went to Jethro, he gave Zipporah to Moses in marriage, right? And so that's how they came together. But eventually, what happened was Zipporah wound up saving Moses' life later on in the story, where God was going to kill Moses because Moses didn't keep the covenant. And so...
what was the covenant?
The covenant, what was the covenant?
Don't know. What was the covenant? What was he supposed to do?
All right,
what was Moses supposed to do?
So the covenant was between God and his people, right? And it was supposed to be, he was supposed to circumcise.
That was symbolic.
Right, he was supposed to circumcise his son, which he didn't do. And the circumcision was a sign of the covenant between God and Abraham's descendant, right? And so when Moses didn't do that, God confronted him. God was about to kill him, but Zipporah took out a flint knife and she actually performed the circumcision, and that caused God to withhold killing Moses. And so we see that, you know, that marriage, that relationship that Zipporah had with God, because she understood the covenant as well, and so she took it upon herself to keep the covenant going, and so basically she saved Moses' life. And so
and the purpose,
right,
his purpose,
right, and his purpose, right. And so now how do we know that God brought us together? And so we want to go into that.
Well, okay. I guess I can start since it starts with me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so in my previous marriage, which was many years ago, I was praying for that marriage, my son's father, and I had a dream and I had a vision. The dream, I was on a cruise boat with a man. I didn't even see the man. I just saw the man had a bush, an afro. And I was going to a conference with two women that I knew at church. And I was telling one of them about the dream. And then the other woman walked over. She heard me telling the other dream. It was Desiree I was telling the dream to. And she heard me telling Desiree the dream. And she was like, that was you? Because it's amazing how God works. God had given her a dream that she was on a cruise and she saw a couple hugged up. So I'm telling her that me and this man was hugged up on the cruise boat. And I'm like, wow, you know, so that was God showing me that I really had a dream that I was on a cruise boat hugged up with a man with a bush. right? So I'm thinking that was my ex because he had a bush. Thinking it was him. God was going to restore our marriage. I was praying for that marriage. I had been praying for a whole year. He was living with the other woman. Crazy, right? But after that, time went on. I had a vision. I was sitting in church, awake vision, kind of like Peter, right? He was awake when he had the vision, right? And so I had a vision. My husband was putting envelopes in the back of the seats, right, ushering. So okay, paid no mind, paid the dream no mind, paid the vision no mind. Didn't give any attention to it. And so time passes, and I let that go. God released me from that. I met my husband, who I'm with now. I met my husband, who I'm with now. We started hanging out, developed a friendship. We start dating.
Hanging out, yeah. Hanging out could be something different, though.
Right. I ain't lying.
So where do we hang out at?
Church, right? We
Conferences.
Yes,
Yeah.
we hung out at church. We spent a lot of time together around church, and he knew that I was his wife. I didn't. No, he was my husband. I mean, I was attracted to him and stuff, and I liked his company, but I didn't hear God telling me he was my husband. He told me that I was his wife, and I was like, I don't hear God telling me this. I told him that. I don't hear God telling me this. And so we continued to date. My husband proposed to me at church. If y'all remember all of this. Okay, what am I leaving out?
No, I'm saying before the proposal, God gave me that proposal.
Okay, right. Go ahead.
Gave me the words.
Tell your part.
Now, yeah. So I wish I would have thought to bring the actual words that God gave me to write on this tablet, because that was my proposal, And so that's how I knew.
A testimonial proposal.
Right, yeah. And so that's how I knew that she was my wife. God gave me these words, man, and, it was just
flowing.
Yeah, it was flowing, and how he had me get up in front of the church and propose.
And it lined up. It lined up. It just lined up.
That's right.
We went to Bible study, and that night men were presenting things to their wives.
Was that Valentine's?
For Valentine's Day. And that was the next day they went to Beaurivage. To the household family. But and so he asked, I went to use the bathroom. I went to use the restroom. He asked the pastor could he present? And so he was like, I'm gonna be right back. So he gets up, I'm sitting down now, and I hear the pastor say, next we have Brother Robert. And I'm thinking it was the minister of music. His name was Robert, right? Oh, he about to present something to his wife too. Oh, that's so sweet. I'm just enjoying everybody, presenting stuff to their wives and stuff. And I look up and it's him on the pulpit. Standing there, Now you can finish.
Right. Now, that was God in and of itself, because I'm not the person to get up in front of people, and we talking about in front of the church, so that was definitely a move of God, and so I just read the proposal, and people were just
crying. So we had some people crying in there, like, get up there, telling me to get up there, go up there.
Right. Now the reason they were crying because they knew what my wife had been through, her ex, and just the pain that she came there with, and just cried,
Tears of joy. Yep.
Yeah.
So I said yes.
Now, your boy didn't have a ring at the time, you know what I'm saying? But I knew what I wanted.
But we missing something.
Okay, come
Before
on.
the proposal, you say, wait, I thought you were gonna go somewhere else, but you went there. But we're missing the big picture when I said I didn't hear God telling me this, and we went and met with the pastor before
Yeah, right,
before you proposed.
right.
Like, go ahead, let you tell that
Huh?
part. You don't know what I'm talking about?
So wait, hold up. You talking about when he said you describe it better than me. So cause I'm gonna just jump straight to the deal. You know what I'm saying? So he was like, so we asked. Wait, no.
No, I'm saying when you thought I was saying that there was one. Come
Oh,
on,
right,
brother.
right,
Keep
yeah,
up.
right. Yes. And so yeah, this is like an inside joke that we chuckle about a lot. So what I heard my wife say at the time, well, my dating friend at the time, was that there was one person
In the
for one
world.
person, that God has for that person to marry.
And that is not what I was saying.
All right, but that's what I heard at the time. I'm like, geez.
So he is.
So I'm like, Pastor, this woman believed that. So if there's a man over in China,
Now he's saying, Pastor, we had to set up a counseling session with the pastor because we're going back and forth about this thing. And I'm like, I'm not saying that. I'm not. So we like, look, we just going to meet with the pastor. So we did.
this one believed there's one man, if he's over in China, God is going to bring them together. And that's the only person
And that is
for her.
not what I was saying.
Yeah, but that's
And
what
I told him, I'm like, that ain't what I'm saying, Pastor.
Yeah.
But I was telling my husband, I said, I need to know that God said yes to us.
Right.
Because I don't want to be, I know what marriage is now. At first I didn't. With my first marriage, I didn't know what that was. We were not saved when I got saved in that marriage.
Right.
And so I knew what marriage was.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? What it was to God. And so for me, it's like I wanted to make sure that I was getting married to the right person. When I say the right person, that this man, he was submitted to the Lord.
Right.
Right? He was submitted to the Lord. And so we can jail with a person, we can be attracted to a person, but God knows the heart better than we do. And so that's what I was saying. It's like, okay, are you who you say that you are?
Right.
And I'm glad that I had that mindset because it kept me in all of the hard stuff that I had to endure in my marriage.
Right.
Knowing that God said this was my husband.
Right.
Now, how was that confirmed? We had our first session after proposal. Fast forward to that.
All right, yeah.
We had our first premarital session. And he started asking, like icebreakers, just asking us stuff. And he asked us, like, where were we going to go on our honeymoon and stuff like that. And so we said that we were going to go to Jamaica, right?
Right.
And so he said, did y'all ever think about a cruise? Right there, the Holy Spirit reminded me of the dream that I had. So that was confirmation. But I'm skipping the first confirmation. The first confirmation really was when you proposed and Pastor Barry stood up and said, see, when you wait on God. Right. That was the first, because I had been praying and asking God, Lord, show me after that session we had with the pastor. And he was saying, when we got that cleared up, when I wasn't saying that wasn't no one person, I had just really, really, really was praying about that because he said that I was his wife, but I really wanted to know that he was my husband. So I was seriously praying about that. I mean, crying out to the Lord. And when he proposed and Pastor Barry got up and told me that, and said that when you wait on the Lord in front of the whole congregation, he said, when you wait on the Lord, that was the first confirmation for me. The second confirmation was, like I said, when we had the first session and he mentioned the cruise. Yes.
Right. Yeah. And so
the third confirmation. The third confirmation was when you were coming with me to church so much, and then I remember Lisa was like, you're gonna have to leave your church, right? If he decide to leave, if he decide he want to stay, I was gonna have to leave. So he decided to join where I was going, and And
They already thought I was a member.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, some of the members maybe, but so when he started, he got plugged in. He started ushering, he was putting envelopes on the back of the chairs. Third confirmation, and that's how I knew this was my husband.
Yeah.
And God knew I was gonna need all that confirmation because there were times when I was like, God, I don't know, like. Why? Like, why? Let me say this. I never questioned that you were my husband because I knew it. But I asked God, why? Why did you have to let me go through all of this stuff? The heartbreak, the hardness of his heart. And
Hey, just like the purpose that Zipporah had. She saved Moses' life. So that's how I look at it.
Yeah.
You saved my life from all of the stuff that I was just...
The emotional turmoil.
just ignorant and just didn't know, you know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, you brought awareness to a lot of that stuff, and so, yeah. And that's what God used you, to get me where I am today, to call me up, you know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, that's how I look at it. And so,
of course I didn't at the time.
Right. And so, yeah, just like I want to, talk about, the marriage that we mentioned with Moses, like nothing happens by coincidence with God. You know what I'm saying? Nothing is by coincidence.
Yes. And you got to make sure that you're marrying the right person. You know what I'm saying? Just because you gel with a person, are you going to have the capacity, the grace for that? You know what I'm saying? You got to make sure that you're going to have the grace to endure whatever it is that you're going to have to endure. Now, on my husband's end, I had to deal with a whole lot of stuff emotionally, you know what I'm saying, on his side. And what he lacked, and so on his side, he did not know that he was going to have to go through physical challenges. Like my physical challenges, like his wife was going to be sick. We didn't know that standing at the altar. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so you have to really make sure that you have the capacity to handle whatever is going to come your way. You know what I'm saying? In that marriage. So you better make sure that God is saying yes to this. Not because there's one specific person, but we all come with something. Right. And so you got to make sure that you have the capacity to be able to endure those hard times because they're going to come.
Right.
They're going to come. But what is yours packaged like? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
What's your hard stuff packaged like?
Right, and what has God graced you for? Because like you hear, some people leave their spouse, they get sick or whatever. Like, I ain't signed up for this. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you wasn't graced for that. You know what I'm saying?
And you've heard it.
Yeah.
Many times you heard it. You got women that leave their husbands because it's like, I can't deal with this baby mama drama. I can't deal with the child support. I can't deal with in-laws. I can't. I'm not dealing with. I ain't signed up for all of this. I ain't signed up for it at all. Like, no, boy, I could do bad by myself. And so I could do good by myself, baby. I don't need all this. But you know what I'm saying? That you ain't great for that. So you gotta make sure that you have the capacity to handle whatever it is that you're gonna go through in your marriage. So you better make sure, you better know that you 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 know, hello, that this is your spouse.
Right. Because
hard times are going to come. Period. Right. And we stand at the altar and we say these vows. Right? And it's just like we really don't understand. Right. That stuff is gonna happen. Something gonna happen out of those vows. Right. And you gotta be able to stand. Right. And endure.
Now this is for two people that's like totally submitted to God. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to just, people like, yeah, see, what I'm going through, God gonna bring us out eventually, but we talking about two people that's totally surrendered to God, you know what I'm saying?
Did he say that? That's all that, it goes back to what I say. Do you know that God said that? That's your spouse, period. Do you know?
Right.
Do you know? First off, are you yielded? Because you got to be yielded to God to know.
Hello.
You got to be yielded to God to know if that's your spouse.
Right.
If that's your person, how people say your person, you know, you got to be yielded to God first. Right? Because guess what? You will wind up with a Saul instead of a David.
Somebody say, all right, women, you know, you say that's your leader. You know.
Hello.
No.